Now, the first resignation from Labour's front bench over leader Sir Keir Starmer's stance on Middle Eastern conflict has been submitted. This is Shadow Minister Imran Hussain stepped down from his position overnight, saying that his view on the conflict differed substantially to the position adopted by Starmer.
Well, joining us now is Parliamentary sketch writer Quentin Letts. Quentin, thank you so much for joining us again.
Good morning.
Good morning. How much of a concern should this resignation be to Keir Starmer?
Well, I think he'll be sorry that Imran Hussain has done this. Mr Hussain feels this issue very strongly, and when he speaks in Parliament, you sense his devotion to the cause, the Palestinian cause. He gets so worked up about it, he sort of runs short of breath sometimes. You worry he's going to keel over. But he's obviously, he feels it impossible in his conscience to stay as a frontbencher. So it's good that politicians obey their conscience. And a Labour a party leader has to bear in mind that, but at the same time can't respond to every relatively minor resignation.
Do you think it could... Sorry, I was just going to say, do you think it might lead to more resignations? We've seen councillors resign in their dozens, nearly.
It might do. There's always a thing in politics. The first person who goes, everyone else thinks, oh, I wish I'd been first. And so there might be people think, oh, I think I'd be second and get a little bit more publicity that way. That's the way MPs sometimes think. But at the same time, you know, with Labour looking in the opinion polls pretty well placed at the moment, those people will be thinking, I want to be a minister in a government. And if I quit now, will it harm or hinder my chances? If you go early, it might help your chances. How does it because, then they need to get you back in later on.
How does it play out, Quentin, for Starmer himself? There's a reasonable argument you could construct around this, saying, actually, it plays out pretty well for him because it divides him from the rebellious lot in a kind of Blairite, you know, that's not the lot I want in my tent. This is what my party stands for. I'm the statesman, and those with dissenting views are not welcome.
It might do, but he's no Tony Blair, this guy. And he trims back. He's much less bold than Tony Blair. So I suspect that he'll be doing a lot of reverse gear stuff, reverse ferret stuff going on. And we will see. But, you know, he's got to bear in mind that this is a fluid situation, and public opinion may be changing, may not be changing. You know, these are the difficulties of being a politician. You have to try and gauge where the country is. And it's not just to do with votes either. It's to do with your how resolute you are as a leader.
And moving on now to the King's speech from yesterday.
Oh, the bling.
Well, was there any point to it other than the bling? The bling was sort of overshadowed any substance.
You know, we can have fun with the bling and all the horses and all the carriages and the amazing diadem that Camilla was wearing, which I looked at, and it was sparkling green and blue and red. What a fantastic bit of jewellery. There is a point to that, actually. There is a point to this, because the state opening of Parliament is a symbol, and it's there in flesh, in horse flesh, and in front of our eyes, of our constitutional settlement. And it explains that party politics is one thing, but above that is a higher politics. There's a calm, there's a serenity of the constitutional settlement of the Crown. And that, therefore, it does matter. All the bling is part of a statement by the Constitution that, you know, those scurvy party politicians who come in talking into the House of Lords, chattering away and had to be shushed yesterday, that they are not at the top of the pecking order and that there is something above them.
But we've spoken about the style. What about the substance of the speech?
The substance of the speech was minimal. It was very technocratic and it was pretty boring, which, you know, and that there may be some merit in being boring at the moment, because we've had a lot of excitement in our politics in the last few years, and Rishi Sunak is not a particularly exciting man, but, you know, there may be electoral merit in that. And at the same time, the really big event is not going to be the King's speech. You know, at the end of an electoral cycle like this, you don't really get much new stuff in a King's speech, but you might get new stuff in the autumn statement and in the budget. And so everyone's waiting for the tax cuts. There are going to be tax cuts coming. It's a question of when and how big.
Was it designed like that, do you think? I mean, bearing in mind these state opening speeches they're looked at by many eyes, and many people have their impressive quills at the ready to ensure that this is going to penetrate somewhere along the line. Well, you'd have thought so. And yet, this is what we got, you know, a tax on vapes or something like that, for goodness sake. Is the autumn... Did they know this? Was it by design that they made it fairly mediocre because the big hitters are coming out in the autumn statement?
Well, I mean, the really interesting stuff and how they're going to sort of stimulate the economy is by doing some tax cuts.
Yeah.
And that's what people are crying out for, in my opinion. And you don't get tax cuts in a King's speech. That's just not the way it works, because it's a financial event, no tax cuts, and that has to come from the Chancellor, and it has to be all the OBR and all that palaver. So at the end of at the end of an electoral cycle, a King's speech is never going to be full of razzmatazz news policies, and a lot of it will already have been mentioned. That's what happened yesterday. But there's some sort of some clear blue water stuff, if you like, in the energy stuff. Yeah. And in the general election, will Labour be different from the Conservatives on energy policy? I think that is going to be the case.
Were you there, by the way? Hey!
I was there yesterday.
Yeah.
I was there. I love being in the House of Lords for that. And you see, actually, one part of it I really dislike. It really makes me angry. Of seeing all these old boilers in the House of Lords, all these old greasers, those old wrigglers who've got themselves life peerages and get them a job for life. It really makes me angry. But at the same time, as I say, it is a statement of the way that our system works. And in our system, the Prime Minister is not the head of state. Long may that be the case.
It is incredible. I've been there as well and seen this. And it's orange. It's just tremendous to see this. We mentioned this yesterday.
First thing I saw yesterday, Ian, I got there at just after 9 o'clock in the morning, and there was a bunch of old beefeaters walking towards me. Boom.
Love a beefeater.
Jumped like that.
Yes.
And they disappeared down a coal scuttle, down a sort of some coal steps,
Never to be seen again.
Going down to the boilers to check for gunpowder.
Oh, the guy. Yes, indeed.
Oh,
they do that,
and was he there?
No, but it's a slightly surreal sight. I think perhaps I'd had too much to drink the night before.
It is, but you are right, because you sit there. Whatever age you are, there's always someone twice your age in the House of Lords, and you look around and you see these figures, and you think, I used to see this person on TV, on Question Time, when I was 9. And there they are, they're 156, and they're still standing there, ermine-clad, ready to go. You think, wow, I mean, this is an extraordinary place.
And it just shows politicians never go away.
They never go away.
Well, Quentin Letts, thank you so much for joining us.